supplier diversity has always been focused on growth with underserved diversity classes and communities, but the challenge now is to how to translate that to shareholder value and proactively communicate economic impact benefits to shareholders. You know, the business case for supplier diversity and economic impact is really driving shareholder value, and quite frankly, the obvious aspect of, you know, money and the act of making more of it. So historically, the challenge for supplier diversity teams is how can I effectively translate that to an equation that makes sense to our leadership, our C-suite, and the communities in which we operate. Economic impact is really a simple equation that is based on statistically sound and data-driven economic model, which really translates purchases with diverse suppliers, which we all know is traditional supplier diversity spend tracking, the jobs these diverse suppliers create to support these expenditures, so the output, and really the growth in spending from these businesses and their employees, which when combined create a true picture of economic impact with diverse businesses: input, output, impact. So what is economic impact, and how can I tie it to my supplier diversity program? Economic impact really starts with the direct bucket, which is quite honestly the spend that you have with diverse suppliers. The spend that your organization may do with minority and women-owned veteran businesses produces a trickle-down effect, which translates to increased value-added jobs that are created at those suppliers. Then you have indirect impact, which is where diverse suppliers then boost growth within their own supply chains to manage the increased growth of their business as it relates to the sales that you invested in those said suppliers. It's a proven fact that diverse suppliers tend to hire a more diverse workforce, which has a double benefit for economic growth when it's tied to supplier diversity. Lastly, there's this fuzzy calculated impact rating, which really historically has been difficult for organizations to translate, and that's what's called the induced impact, which truly measures the wider economic benefit that is a result of both the direct and the indirect impact and the total contribution that you have to the local economies and communities in which you have suppliers and their employees reside in. So you may be wondering, well, who else in my organization may be able to benefit by tracking this economic impact, and how can I go about starting to do it? Beyond traditional supplier diversity teams and departments, economic impact reports can bring tremendous value to your community and investor relations groups. It can help boost competitive advantage when you're competing on city, state, municipal government contracts, and it certainly can help with concentrated marketing efforts based on regions where your organization has a big footprint. So the bottom line is economic impact is not just a supplier diversity theme. It can really provide a tangible value to multiple stakeholders across your organization. So who is CVM, who is IMPLAN, and why are we talking about this? Well, we, CVM, have really heard a huge theme across many of our 350 plus clients that they have a need to take the data that we give back to them to a deeper level to be able to quantify this economic impact. So with that, CVM did a lot of research to figure out, who is the premier provider of this type of analytics, and IMPLAN was the absolute market leader in this solution. So because of that, we created a joint alliance and partnership that will allow you to have both seamless reports delivered through one reporting packaging. So if any of the folks on the call are not necessarily familiar with who CVM is and who IMPLAN is, we're going to take just 60 seconds and quickly walk you through a little bit about both of our organizations, and then we're going to walk through the sample deliverables that we are planning to offer for economic impact. So CVM, we've been in business for over 15 years. Our organization is 100% focused on supplier diversity, supplier management, and we are widely recognized as the industry leader around data analytics, data intelligence, software and services. We're extremely proud to say that we have over 350 of the Fortune 1000, and over 60% of the billion-dollar roundtable rely exclusively on CVM data and software to manage their programs. So why that data piece is so important is everything we do as an organization is related to data and content. And when you think about what is the backbone of any successful supplier diversity program, it really has to do with that deep layers of insight into not just who your diverse suppliers are, but truly thinking about the economic impact and how do I measure that with my organization. So the CVM and IMPLAN marriage is a natural fit. So with that, to tell you a little bit more about IMPLAN and more about the deliverables, I'm going to transition over to my colleague Tammy. Give me one second. And without further ado,
hi everyone. Thanks, Ashlee. Thanks so much. It's a real pleasure to be with everybody here today, and I certainly appreciate the gracious introduction. And IMPLAN couldn't be more excited to be partnering with a world-class organization like CVM. So we're really looking forward to this presentation today and our success moving forward. I really loved what you had to say about supplier diversity and economic impact analysis. I wouldn't know that you didn't have more of a background in economics. So now that we know a little bit about what CVM does, I'd like to talk a little bit about what IMPLAN does and then kind of take you through that offering that we've combined forces and we're going to bring to you. So if you're not familiar with IMPLAN, IMPLAN has been around for about 25 years now, making quality data and software that analysts and other folks use to do economic impact analysis. So it is all that we do. It's what we do. Like Ashlee said, CVM is 100% focused on supplier diversity. IMPLAN's always been 100% focused on economic impact. So I'm excited to kind of marry these two together and really talk about how we can bring this to the masses. So to talk a little bit more about economic impact modeling and using IMPLAN, it's really great for being able to analyze the economic impact specifically of your supplier diversity program. We want to be able to drill that impact down to the number of jobs that you're supporting in the local community, because we really think that that's going to make the most impactful statement and bring the most exposure and well-needed exposure to supplier diversity programs in all of your organizations. IMPLAN is probably the only provider currently that is able to offer you tax impact assessment. So along with the investment and spend that you're making in supplier diversity, we're able to transition those numbers into what tax impact you're having on those regions that you're operating as well. IMPLAN offers a large variety of region-based economic impact analysis, and you'll have some of those options to choose from when you decide, do I want to look at the economic impact of my supplier diversity program on the entire nation as a whole, or maybe I want to break it up and look at each state individually, or perhaps I want both. Down the road, we'll be able to do reports at the MSA level. So there's a snapshot here of the Chicago MSA. And this is really where you get into drilling down the message about, my investment in diverse businesses through my supply chain is having such an impact on these communities that you can really drill down and show that in real job numbers. It's a really important and impactful message. And we can also drill down further to look at a single county and even a set of zip codes too. So we think IMPLAN and supplier diversity fit really perfectly together because it can really help tell that story. Ashlee talked a lot about proving shareholder value. We want to also show the communities that we're supporting them and suppliers as well, that we're open to working with them, and we want to make them part of our success. So together we've come up with a prepackaged offering that's called our Supplier Diversity Analysis and Reporting Package. And you're going to see summary results, which are going to be ideal for just looking at the raw numbers. You'll also be able to see tax impacts on that. You'll get an economic impact report that will enable you to read those impacts in a way or share that information accurately. That's always one of the concerns, and that's why I love IMPLAN's reputation, since we've been given the name as the gold standard in economic impact analysis. Part of the reason is because we really stand behind, and others do too, stand behind the quality of our data and the results that you get when using our data. And the last thing, which is kind of the coolest thing that we have developed, is cool visualization so that you can really have a compelling report in your hands to go to market. Looking at the high-level summary results, Ashlee talked a little bit before about the direct, indirect, and induced impacts. If you're just sharing direct spend dollars, you're missing 2/3 of the story. So we think it's important to include all three so you can really show that full ripple effect of the investment that you've made in your supplier diversity programs and with those suppliers. In our example here, you can see that a direct spend of $3.6 million equates to 200 employees, and there are some other metrics in there too, but the ones that really speak to people are direct spend and how many jobs does that equate to. And that's the beauty of the IMPLAN system, is 25 years ago we automated that and created a software that takes all of that underlying data and really transitions it into a real number, and an accurate number at that. The indirect effect is the supply chain of that direct spend that you're making, and that's equating to another 1.86 million and 72 employees. And our induced effect is that household spending, or really the impact on the community. So when I work in an area that where I live in an area that I work, and I pay my mortgage and buy groceries and seek health care and go to the movies with my kids, that creates economic impact that we don't want to forget about. So that's what we call the induced impact, so that you can look at that full overall, we like to call it a ripple effect, because that really is what it is. You drop $1 in the economy, and this is how it flows to the economy. And then you can also see, let's not forget about the varying levels of tax impact that IMPLAN will show you in your summary results too, all the way from the federal level all the way down to kind of some sub-county levels if you want to get that granular. This is a sample of the economic impact study. It has a lot of language in it that maybe isn't the flashiest, but when you're communicating results to a board or to shareholders, these are the kinds of pieces of information that is important to them. And if anyone really needs more information as to exactly what is an indirect effect and why are you including induced effects, we definitely want to provide that, and we'll provide that for you, since IMPLAN has the economists and we're the experts in the field. And then just here's an example of some cool ways that you can bring that information to the public, and just a couple of use cases here. So all that looks really great and pretty, and often I'm asked, well, what data does IMPLAN need in order to be able to really run an accurate IMPLAN analysis? And I have to say that I'm really excited to partner with CVM, because CVM's data enrichment is everything that we need. That provides us with the dollars spent by Tier 1 and Tier 2 spend. It provides us with dollars spent per industry, and we bridge to NAICS code, so we can always make sure that we're using the same foundation. That's important. Dollars spent by region, taking a look at the U.S. as a whole or broken out by state, is important. And then especially dollars spent by diverse classification. If I've seen anything, it's the need to really talk about, how much spend do we have and how many jobs are we supporting using minority-owned businesses or women-owned businesses, for example. So how to tell your supplier diversity program. This is probably what I'm most excited to show you today, is an example of our supplier diversity report and economic impact study. So when you bring this to market, people are really going to take notice and take the time to read what it is you're doing in your company and in this marketplace. So we'll all have a table of contents outlining the different impacts. We'll have language from that economic impact report filtered in so that you can always make sure that, or we'll help make sure that we're telling an accurate and compelling story. There are a few different charts that we're going to include in that makes the story even cooler to just kind of pick up and look at. And there are a couple of tables filled in here. So you can see with the offering that we've put together, it really looks great. And with CVM's data and the quality of that data, IMPLAN's base underlying quality of data, and a great marketing team on our side, I think that we've definitely come up with a win here. And then there's only one more. This is really where we'll talk about, the difference in diverse classification here. So that's all great. That gives you an overview of the option that we've put together, or the package rather, that we've put together. So what are your options when you're thinking about, okay, this looks really great and I want to take a look at what economic impact report I want to bring to the public eye? There's only a couple of questions to ask yourself, and the first is, which region is it that I would like to analyze? Do I want to look at the nation as a whole, or do I want to break it out and look at a single state or state by state? And then what classifications are important to us or are in our strategic plan for supplier diversity that we really want to focus on and grow? We definitely want to make sure that we include those MBE, WBE, and the other 12 different classifications that you track. IMPLAN has a way to filter those so that we can show compelling information on each of those classifications as well. How do you get started? First of all, if you're already a client of CVMs, you're a step ahead, because their enriched data is simply going to be taken and uploaded into IMPLAN's system. It's all an automated process that we've designed, so there won't be anyone really looking at your data. CVM has access to your data. It gets uploaded into the IMPLAN system, and then we just take the result information and then we put that into that great report package. Second, then your economic impact report is delivered as part of your CVM reporting package. So you get two great solutions offered through one contract. And at that point, Ashlee, I'm going to turn it over to you to close us out.
Great. Well, thanks again, Tammy. That was an awesome overview of IMPLAN. Hopefully, the audience today has gotten a good flavor and a good feel for how to tangibly create and get your arms around economic impact. It's a simple solution. It's a well-defined engine. It's a great partnership between the two organizations, and we certainly welcome any additional conversations if you're interested to learn more further. So with that, you'll notice the last slide, certainly you can direct all inquiries to me, Ashlee Nelson. My phone and email is listed there. Tammy Hall, also I will certainly loop her into any additional conversations if we need to have follow-up demos. Happy to do that in her email as well. So with that, glad that we're giving you all some time back in your calendars. Certainly welcome any feedback. All the questions that were submitted, we will respond back to you directly following the call. And as John mentioned, we will send a recording. So there will be a very brief survey, couple question survey when we disconnect. So certainly we'll love your feedback, and hopefully you all felt this was a good use of your time. Look forward to connecting with all of you soon, and if we don't talk again, have a wonderful holiday season. Thanks again. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks you too, Ashlee.
Take care.